Hey, this is Josh Keaton, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
You're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network. Unleash the geek in you.
Hello and welcome to Geekcast Radio. This is episode 301. I'm, of course, TFG1Mike. And this time around, it is a Emerald City Comic-Con 2022 recap. I, of course, have Christopher Morton with me here. Hello, sir. How are you?
Huzzah, big guy.
Oh, boy, you sound older than I do. Well, wait, you are older than I am. Yikes.
He just had a birthday.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
So
Happy belated
super
birthday.
old.
All them gray hairs really do show, don't they? Oh, boy. And joining us for the first time in this ECCC recap stuff is Matthew Crauder. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, I misspelled your name when looking for you on Skype. I was thinking of the other Crowder.
No, this is more like sauerkraut than I'm really fat and I crowd people.
I'm really fat.
I do both, but
like, you know.
Yeah.
Sad panda.
Womp womp.
No, don't you dare.
Oh yeah, okay.
Don't you dare.
Matt's kind of anthropomorphic persona is a panda.
Oh,
so.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I fall over a lot and I like to eat.
Yep.
That's all of us. I mean, I could be a giant robot that only weighs 2,000 tons, and I'd still.
It was either that or a manatee. I went with because it's Portland, and who doesn't like a big gay bear?
Oh boy! All right.
You might have some editing to do here. I'm just letting you know.
No, that's all.
Oh no, that's a keeper.
Yeah,
that's a keeper.
If he wants to say that about himself, and if that is his identity, I am not cutting that out. I mean, you know.
What will my family think?
Do they know?
They probably suspect.
I might need to cut that out, but. Oh, God. Well, as you can tell, folks, the explicit tag that I've had on this podcast since its inception in 2009 doesn't just mean, you know, shit, fuck, damn, whatever. It's also innuendos and don'ts, because there is plenty of innuendos in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, yes.
So it's a good thing we're not sponsored by Emerald City Comic-Con, because they would have really loved the last X number of minutes of this show that we just had there. But last year, we did it in person.
Yes.
Yes. Chris said at the time I was living in Vancouver, Washington, Chris came over and we did a in-person. No, we didn't do it in person. What the hell am I thinking? We didn't do it in person. It's always been we were going to
talk about it in person.
Yeah, and then we were just like, screw it. I mean, granted, you know, last year the gas prices weren't where they are now, but I don't know. Anyway, Emerald City Comic-Con, Seattle, Washington, 2022. I assume you both attended all 4 days?
3.
Okay.
We both work Thursday. Those are busy days for us. Okay. And the only thing that happens on Thursdays are people that go and buy exclusives. They don't actually buy anything of like art or anything like that. So we didn't bother rushing up there.
Okay, there you go. So Friday to Sunday. Oh boy. So how do we want to approach this? What were your all's plans for each day? So Friday, what were the plans?
For me, Friday was to get stuff off my plate. Things that I wanted to do, like I wanted to go get some books signed by Chris Claremont and sent off to CGC to get graded. Sometimes lines like when we went to SummerCon, it took me 4 hours to get signed stuff by Kevin Eastman. So I wanted to do this on Friday and not Saturday, just in case the lines were really crazy. And the lines actually were managed very well. They didn't stick out and block traffic or anything like that. He was very lovely to get like maybe 5 minutes to talk to him, and then, shuffle on. He had a money manager at his booth. So like he wasn't fumbling around with stuff. He was interacting and signing. That's what he was doing. And then you kind of shuffle over to his manager and hand him money and do all that. And then walk around. Less people are there on Fridays, so try to get the lay of the land, see what the hot item is, and see if you can pick one up or not.
What was the hot item that you wanted this year?
For me, it was the signings, but T-shirts for people our size, they go pretty quick at
if
cons.
they have them at all.
Go figure. There's a lot of 3X, 4X, 5X con goers. I would not have ever thought that, but you kind of got to jump on the T-shirts before all they have is extra small or a medium. And so I got some T-shirts. I think Chris got some T-shirts too.
Yep, I sure did. And then we did splurge on, we checked out, there's a lot of, every con is being bigger with dice. Dice has been a big thing in cons the last several years. So they actually took the bridge that to the main buildings that the con is in, had big dice booths in there. The Sky Bridge. And we went through some of the dice there, and we found this style of dice that's hollow and metal. So when you have two dice in your hand, they kind of have this ringing noise. It's really cool.
Kind of like Shang-Ching balls.
Yeah. So we ended up buying several of those because they were just amazing. We wanted to set for our D&D campaign, and of course they make great Christmas gifts. At the point, the one thing about this con in 2020 was really good is it was the 1st of December, and it worked so well because that became a gift buying con, and it just people bought a lot of things for Christmas. With this one falling now in August, one, it's so much hotter. I really like December when it's rainy and cold and everybody wants to stay indoors and it's nice. This HotCon is terrible. Next year they're going to push it till back to the original, which is mid-March. So that's their tentative goal. And the idea of the layout for these cons, now this is the last year this con is in this section of the Washington Convention Center. It's technically in 4 different buildings around that area. Washington State, the shared... Well, no, because the signings are in another part of the building. So they have another section signing. So that's in the Sheridan, the West Eastman Hotel, which is just outside. The Sheridan Hotel has 4 floors. The Washington Con main building has 4, and they had one other building that's across the street, and that had 4 floors. And they had miscellaneous rooms everywhere. So the downside of this con is it's really spread out over multiple blocks.
Right. You get your stairs in, that's for sure.
Oh. Now, next year, right next door to all this is the new convention center. It is 6 stories with a rooftop park on it. And it's a lot of convention space. And the plan is to have this really launch the new convention center off just like 2 blocks away. So we're going to see how that plays out. That's kind of the reason why we are going to return to this. So we're going to have a lot more into why we would not consider coming back to where it originally is. But
you always make money at ECC, but sometimes you don't make as much as you want.
Yeah, that's
depending on booth space and what floor you're on, and if they're playing house music from the Pops vending booth and driving everyone insane.
Now, Pops, which I know, Mike, you're a big fan of the Funko Pops.
I need to hang up right now. Then.
Oh, stop it!
Sorry, I meant to mention that. They were not there. They pulled out about 3 weeks before the con.
I think
started.
It was less than that.
Yeah, less than maybe a couple of weeks. Yeah, they pulled their booth out of there because they had a FunkoCon they decided to put all their resources into on Saturday only, which ended up being just a cluster of lines and frustration.
So FunCon last time, and I didn't go to it, whatever, but the FunCon event last time had so many exclusives, and FunCon 2, I think, had 8 total exclusives. Now, one of the reasons why I'm a Funko fan is because the Pops specifically remind me of the Mighty Mugs from 11 years ago, whatever the hell that was. So Hasbro used to they still actually do them, but they were these things called Mighty Mugs, and the arms could move, so not just the head and the arms could move and whatever else. So that's kind of why I'm a fan of them, of the Pops specifically. I am not a fan of what they are currently pushing and producing between the NFTs and the sodas. First of all, NFT, just get the... Yeah. I want a physical product. I don't want a digital picture that my buddy Steve could just make me anyway. Like, I don't want to disrespect the artists that do those digital arts, but Jesus.
I'm going to disrespect them.
Well, but you know, so, and the sodas. Okay, so years ago, I was at the time in Louisville, Kentucky, in my local comic shop, The Great Escape, and I saw something I had never seen before. I saw a Duff can from The Simpsons that had just a normal 52-card deck in it, but it was a Simpsons-themed deck. So, you know, think of like buying a Transformers Monopoly now. It's got Transformers art all over it kind of thing. But it was, one of these kinds of cans. A Funko Pop box, I can see the figure inside. If I want to take it out of the box, I can take it out of the box. If I don't want to, I don't have to, but at least I can still see it. These damn sodas, first of all, they're even more deformed than the Pops. Second of all, you can't leave them in the can because you can't actually see the damn figure. Funko. I don't want to turn this into a Funko hate podcast. That can be done.
Please.
No, not now.
No.
I'm already
on. Done on Toycast. You and I will have discussions later on that. But okay. So, Chris, what was your main goal for Friday?
Well, the one thing we have to point out is the main reason Matt and I attend these cons is we work for a couple of artists we've known for a long time. Jimmy, or Vegas James we call him, but Jimmy Stark, who does a lot of graphic arts, visual for like DC characters. He does his Venoms are amazing. But we usually help manage
on something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We kind of messed him up last year. All the commissions that he got, we kept having people do their house pets, and he kind of hates us for that. In like superhero formations. And we worked mostly with him, and then this is who we'll be working with in Rose City Comic Con in the will be H1, H12 booth. The other artist we get to deal with, we had a phenomenal time. We knew him kind of by association, but we got to really get to know him for this con, was Eddie Nunes, who is the lead animator for He-Man Revelation. And he actually got a little bit of time off from all the work Netflix has been putting him through to actually make it to the con and show a lot of his work. He has a lot of great Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. Some beautiful pieces that he has drawn. That's just incredible. And it was kind of nice because on the tablecloth, you can draw on them. And we were doing doodles between the two of us along the tablecloth of our different characters. I'll be doing my Morton Moose and my other characters, and he was doing like Batman and a few others. So it was a lot of fun doing that. So that was my main goal, is just assisting both of them and making the con easy for them and not overly stressful. So that was my whole purpose. The secondary goal was I like to hit the panels. The panels for the past few years have gotten a little bit weaker. The one panel I really did love was from Amy Chu and Janet Leigh. Amy Chu, you might know, she's Green Hornet, Red Sonja, Poison Ivy, Deadpool. She's now the writer of the new book 3 of the Dota Dragon Blood. Okay. She wrote that whole season. Janet Leigh's done like Sea Sirens and a few other comics I've followed. They did a whole panel of treating the character development and character creation. And it was really well done. They started very basic, the very level tier 1 stuff. The place was packed full of a lot of young artists and writers, and they were very inspired when that's why I look at, because I like to see how they're encouraging the next generation of our artists and writers. They did a great panel, and there was one other panel that did that kind of same scenario with a couple of other writers and artists. Wasn't near as good as Amy and Janet's. And I'd love to see more of that, even more panels specifically into the drawing of a character, creation of a character versus a writing of a character and then character development. Mm-hmm. But they had a lot of panels there that were more, there was a lot of meetups. There was a lot of feel safe in your skin panels, how to cosplay, who you want to be, more, some of it was like more sexual based, being who you are kind of panels.
LGBTQ stuff.
And I'm not docking the movement or nothing. Just in these Comic Cons, sometimes that's just not what the Comic Con I feel should be pointed at. This is about the people who inspire, who's created, who reads, who supports art, stories, and history of areas in that genre. And then the gaming community, all that's fine. But some of these panels just weren't in place, and I was a little disappointed seeing that kind of degradation of panels throughout the years, and it just got a little more skimpier. But I was glad I caught a couple of them this year, and I'm really happy I caught Amy's. I really wish she'd be at Rose City, but she's not going to be there because she's a Boston-based gal, and she'll be hitting New York, so she won't be at the next one. But those are some of my main goals. I also get stickers for my car. As usually, I'll try to pick up a few extra new decals for my car to spiff up on. I picked up a Voltron V. What else did I get? Oh, the zombie response team sticker for my car. I know Matt picked up one because he gets a new vehicle. He got a panda and a little panda and something else. So those are my main focus goals. I like doing that kind of stuff. And also note where we sat wasn't the best area, but we were across the aisle from Chris Claremont. And great little story. Here we are Sunday morning. It's fairly quiet. People haven't really rushed into the con yet because Sunday's your big buy day. And so Matt's sitting over with Eddie's booth. And so he gets up there, grabs a Wonder Bar that's from Canada, walks over to Chris Claremont and engaged in conversation by giving him a candy bar to eat. And they just chatted it up there. It was really cool. I actually have a few pictures on my Facebook about that. I thought it was pretty neat.
That's awesome.
It has been my gateway into the comic book world. I am friends with a lot of like professional artists that have worked on like Deadpool and Red Hood and the Outlaws, and they're like big names. And how I became friends with them is that I walked around the con with my backpack filled with Red Bull and jerky and like granola bars, and I fed the artists because they are stuck at their booth they can't ever leave.
Yeah.
And so you feed them and they're like, "Oh my God, you are a lifesaver." And they see you at another con and you feed them again. And they're like, "You know what? We should hang out because you're awesome."
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. That's great. So I am looking at the guest page on the Emerald City website, and I will be talking about the Emerald City website later on in this podcast. I am not a fan of the Emerald City website. And there are a lot of names here. A lot I recognize, a lot I don't recognize, and that's all fine, good, well, and great, because you don't always have to have, your Tom Cruises at conventions. You can have, up-and-comers and everything else and all that. But one thing I have noticed scrolling through these photos, because I'm not actually clicking on any of the artists or any of the guests' pages, I'm just on the main guest page. Was this one of the first times that all 4 animated voices of Turtles was at the same convention?
I think so.
I'm like, wait, there's Barry, there's Cam.
It was a big deal that they got all 4 of them. I know that.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. And because I'm going through, and I'm like, wait a minute. I see Townsend, and I had scrolled past the R's, and I'm like, going back. There's Rob, and I'm like, Wow. Absolutely amazing. Obviously, they've got plenty of other people here. Oh, how can you not have a comic convention without obviously Rob Paulson there for Turtles, but also he can double as Pinky because the Brain was also there, Maurice LaMarche.
Yep, that was a huge panel on Sunday.
It was packed.
The whole floor was cleared out. Like, we left early because there was nobody on the floor because everybody in that con was in that panel room.
Phil Lamar. Let's see. Who else do I see in here? Rod Rice, who's a great comic artist. I love his stuff.
Felicia Day was there for like 2 days.
Yep. Tom Welling was Rosenbaum wasn't there.
No, Erica, the Lois Lane.
Yeah, Lois. Yeah. Erica Durance. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So there were a lot of good, amazing guests that everybody would have known. Obviously, yeah. So.
Some other ones that you should point out, like John Timms was there, John Ging, who did The Last Ronin, Transformers, Alex Sinclair, who did Batman Hush. He had a pretty long line for his. I actually walked by him and talked to him for a brief moment.
G. Willow Wilson, she doesn't get out very often, and she was there.
Oh, yeah. Now, with most Comic-Cons, when you have guest lists, you have your A-listers and B-listers. Now, this is the first Comic-Con I've seen where there wasn't a lot of big A-listers.
Oh, God, there was like none.
None. Now, our biggest actor...
Or they canceled. Or they canceled.
Our biggest actors was like Brendan Fraser showed up, Freddie Prinze Jr., Christopher, the Ninth Doctor, Elskin or whatever. Yeah. He just didn't attend and backed out, so they picked up another doctor. Cassandra Peterson, who I grew up knowing as Elvira, she was there, and I guess her panel was really fun.
Everybody talked very highly of her. She was
I had to double, like, as I'm scrolling down this guest page, I'm like, I see the name and the picture they chose to put of her on the website. She's got red hair. I'm like, wait a minute, is that? And then I'm like, yep, it says Elvira. And I know, obviously, the Elvira thing is just a persona and things like that. But normally when people associate her name, and I'm saying people in general here, folks, I'm not pointing at anyone, but like most kids aren't going to know who the woman is that's behind Elvira. They know the character of Elvira.
If you're doing parenting right.
Okay, well, yes. But I'm saying, in general, as a child of the 80s, I did not know the person behind the persona kind of thing. So, it is what it is. But yeah, no, I mean, it
was also announced like a week before ECC that she was going to be there. Like, that was a surprise guest.
Boy.
Which annoyed a lot of people because she has a huge cult following.
Well, yeah, of course. So if it was only announced a week before the thing, like, you should have announced. Like, you want to sell all the tickets you can, especially at the prices and we'll get into that later too.
Yes.
Boy. Look, I don't want to sit here and put out a negative podcast, folks, but there are just certain things about ECCC that just like I'm kind of glad I'm in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, right now. Anyway, but you say A-listers, and I just listed off all those people who are A-listers in my mind. But,
well, you are a comic book person.
True.
And these are comic cons.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they are no longer comic cons. They are pop culture cons.
Yeah.
And so they want Hollywood in there. They want Tom Cruise. They want all these big name actors to show up. And for us, like, we're Chris Claremont, sign me up. Jim Lee, hell yeah.
Oh, Easton. Oh, please bring him back.
Kevin Eastman. Like, we tried to get him to come to ECC because of the 4 voice actors. Mm-hmm. Eddie Nunez is good friends with him, and we're like, we talked to him at SummerCon and told him about you and everything like that. Like, please call him and tell him to come so we can go like do dinner. Like this would be awesome. The 4 turtle voices and Kevin Eastman, that'd be epic. And it didn't happen, but like those are the type of names that get me excited. I could care less that Brendan Fraser was there.
Oh yeah, no.
Freddie Prinze Jr., no thank you. Did you bring your wife? No? Don't care.
Wait, which wife is he on now? I don't even
Sarah
know.
Michelle Gellar.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're still married? I thought they were. Okay, well, anyway. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, you know, comic-wise, you're right. Any of the comic names that are out there, even, you know, people like Phil LaMarr. Phil LaMarr is a self-professed, and rightfully so, comic book fan. Every interview you ever hear Phil LaMarr on, he will say he has been reading comics since he was a kid.
He's a fantastic Green Lantern voice. Wow.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really interested, even though it's not him, I'm really interested to see what they do with Beware My Power.
Yes.
The new animated film that's either out or coming out. I don't remember if it's out.
Coming out.
Yet. It's
coming out. Okay, good. But for me, I'm looking down here and I'm just like, oh, okay. I actually have one of his books, Livio Remendelli. Actually, I have a lot of his books, but I actually have one of his personal art books that he was selling via socials and whatever, and his website and whatever else. His journey through IDW's Transformers comics, and its various covers and backgrounds and whatever else, and you know, he signed it, and I have it. It's sitting over there on top of my turtle van, and yes, I do have a turtle van in my apartment, folks. No, it's not the real one, sadly.
Because that was at SummerCon. I got some pictures. I'll send them.
There you go. So that's Friday. What did you guys? What were each of your goals for Saturday? Chris, we'll start with you this time.
Saturday, since it becomes more of the focus into ourselves on the booth, that was my main focus. I caught one of the secondary panel on Saturday, which was the other character creation I wasn't super impressed with. And I saw another voice acting one they had, you know, getting into voice acting, which was pretty good. Yeah. Then Jim Cummings had he was there. He had something. He was just there Saturday, I think. I don't think he was there any other days. And he had a quick panel about introduction into art and into the studio arts. He had a couple other people up there. I didn't get to see much of that con because I had to get back to the booth because I'm supposed to be supporting our artists here so they can get away from the booth once in a while. So was my main focus, is just maintaining the booth at that time for Saturday.
What about you, Matt?
Pretty much the same thing. I do a little bit more gophering. You know, if the artists need me to go get something, like, hey, is your Copic marker like dying? Do I need to go downstairs and find you a new black or a gray? Going like across the street and getting food and drink so that we stay hydrated, because that is actually a huge pitfall for most con goers. You don't realize that you're there from 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, and you've realized that you haven't eaten or really drank anything.
Yeah.
So I just want to keep everybody's blood sugar up so that we don't start fighting behind the booth, getting frustrated with not being able to find prints because we start shuffling things around. So I also stay at the booth and sell, but where Chris stays at the booth and sells the entire time, I will leave and go get things for people.
So, and this is obviously probably a more pertinent question to the people organizing this event. And I don't know what, I assume, and again, you should never assume, folks, but I assume that these people that come to these conventions, and I'm not talking about the attendees, I'm talking about the guests, and like, they're not paying to be there, right? They are paid to be there, correct?
Celebrities, yes, you have to pay them a base fee. They have a number in their head and they get paid that.
Right.
Then the con makes money off of their signatures. So all those tickets that you buy to get Tom Welling's signature,
right,
those are to pay the con back for the fee that they have already paid. So if they sell more tickets, they can make a profit off of Tom Welling.
Right.
If they sell enough tickets.
Okay. Because it seems to... Go ahead.
Comic artists like or writers like Chris Claremont, maybe Chris Claremont gets paid to be there, but
We don't
know.
know.
No, he doesn't, because he wasn't selling tickets. He, at his booth, was if you wanted a CGC signature, you paid his agent $20 because you were getting them graded. He was doing free signatures on stuff if you weren't getting them graded. So I think it was just the celebs that...
So my point in asking that at all is because as a convention person that runs the thing, you should be supplying water to the people that are helping you put on your convention. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not saying, Matt, oh my God, don't ever do. No, it's great what you're doing. I'm wondering why the convention itself doesn't do that for the panelists, for the guests, for the booth people. You know what I mean? Like,
because it costs money.
I understand that, but
that, like, most of these celebs, they have their own entourage or they have their own manager, and so that manager should go get Tom Welling a water or, you know, whatever. I'm just using Tom Welling. I'm sure Tom Welling's a great person. I'm not trying to make him out to be some needy person. I'm just using him as an example. But they come with entourages and stuff like that to go do that. Yeah. Short story, I did work. I volunteered. One of my buddies put on a con in Spokane. I volunteered to help with that, and that's basically what I did, was run around and hand out water bottles and stuff, because I talked to the artists and I was like, what do you miss about cons, 10 years ago? And they were like, we used to be important. Like, we used to get at least a bagel and cream cheese. Now we get nothing. We just show up, have a ball and chain wrapped around our leg at the booth, and we sit there for like 12 hours. And so I tried to alleviate that by bringing them water, bringing them food, trying to make them feel like they were as important as Stan Lee and other celebrities that we had. William Shatner. And tried to make them feel just as important. But big cons like that, they've lost it. They don't care what the con was originally supposed to be about, which was comics and creating and art.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just the way, sadly, that it has changed. But just because it has changed doesn't mean you don't take care of everyone that is a guest at your convention, or everyone that... Because what's the name of the booth that you guys were helping out with, Chris?
James Stark Arts, and then Eddie Nunez Art, I believe, is both there.
Okay. So, if they are, having to pay for these tables at these cons, then something in that contract or something in that purchase should mean that the person or persons putting on the convention should have people bringing them at least water to hydrate them, because the last thing anyone needs is anyone, being dehydrated and passing out in the middle of a convention.
100% agree.
That's ridiculous that does, no. No. So, all right. And then Sunday, what was going on Sunday? Were you guys just cleaning up the booth and packing it all in, or were you guys doing
covering booths for hangovers?
Oh boy!
Yeah. So our two resident artists, they're gonna love us telling the story. So Saturday night, one of the few times that Matt and I decided we wanted to check out the after-hour stuff. Because your con's technically at 7, but there's a lot of things going on.
There's lots of parties and continuing tournaments, gaming tournaments, things like that go on past till 12 o'clock at night.
Yep. So we went over to the Sheraton. We checked out the board game area. There was an arcade up there. So we're checking out some free board games, the arcade. We checked out a few other rooms that were doing some events there. And, of course, on that floor, there was one of the big after-hour parties.
Stranger danger.
So we get up there, we're walking there, there's lots of people on cosplay. The place is partially pretty full. We noticed when you walk in there was a alcohol vendor on the outside. As soon as we get in there, it's just like stepping back into junior high. It's a rave going on. Music, the lights, people are all crowded at the stage. There's 2 alcohol vendors in there selling alcohol. But what's also in there is a lot of underage cosplayers. A lot. Now, ECC, I have to admit, this was just screaming of something happening. I mean, immediately, Matt and I did the whole Looney Tunes rotation door scenario. We walked in, saw it, or immediately walked out the next door. We were just like looped out, like, nope, we're not touching this with a 1,000-foot pole.
I am not being photographed and put on the evening news as to stranger danger attacks at the local comic book convention. Because me and Chris have way too big of beards to not be front and center of that photograph. I've got candy, get in my van.
With that, that was a little shaky. Yeah, we were a little shocked about that. Not the finest moment. Now, while we're doing all this, exploring the other bits of con and everything, R2 resident artists, we're meeting up with some other artists, talk about some opportunities out there, or kind of swap war stories. They did this at a bar. Now, understanding R2 artist, one's married, doesn't really get out as much. The other one is a little bit younger, also doesn't get out as much. They proceeded to get themselves hammered.
Oh, no.
And we're talking so hammered that
nothing gets discussed.
Nothing gets discussed. Fights nearly break out. They almost get in some serious trouble, and they don't end their party until 2 a.m.
Oh, no.
Notice we're supposed to be back at the con at 9 a.m. bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Matt and I show up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. One of our 2 artists returns. Not doing too bad. He actually moderated himself. But
he's young enough that he can bounce back from a hangover. So pretty good.
The other one did not. Not nearly. He stumbled in around, what, 1?
Mm-hmm.
1:30 or so? Buddy, I hope you had a great time, but, man, you're a little bit older. You can't do that no more.
Nope. You just can't.
But the after-hour parties is fun. They have the judging of the cosplay. I do want to touch base. The cosplay in this one was still one thing about Comic-Cons that you're going to love is just looking at the cosplay.
People watching.
People watching. And it's one of the reasons I love working the booth. Working the booth, I get to watch all the cosplayers walk through the con. Now, the R2 units weren't really big in this one, which I'm really surprised I didn't see more. Usually,
it's the multi-level.
Which kind of ruins that because I love the R2D2, the whole robotics division. We have all these R2 units running around. It's always fun. Not much in this one, but there was still a lot of fandom. There was a lot of Eddie from Stranger Things. That became a big cosplay.
I don't I'll be the
just
first
cancel Halloween. Cancel it. It's going to be a bunch of Eddies walking around. That this is a peak precursor. We know what every costume is going to be coming up to the door. Cancel it.
I'm not a Stranger Things person. I'm just not. Not that I dislike it. I'm ambivalent to it. I don't really have any whatever. So, I know nothing of this other than what I've seen of people showing off a Funko Pop of the character. Do parents actually allow their children to watch this show? Because I assume this show is mainly for geeks and
they probably shouldn't let their kids.
Okay, good. It's okay.
Watch
That's fine.
It's like horror. So I mean, if you let them watch horror films, you're going to let them watch Stranger Things. It's not like there's like gratuitous nudity or really hardcore violence. I mean, there's slime and stuff like that. I guess blood spray, but it's not like, hey, that kid's arms just got ripped off like a fly. So,
It's not like my mother in 1986 when she was like, oh, Nightmare on Elm Street, whichever part it was.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, you're watching this?
Never Sleep Again? Okay, cool.
Between, and I know this is, when did 94? Between 86 and 94, I will never have long nails again. Number 1, Freddy Krueger. Number 2, Nuclear Man in Superman 4. Nope, never again. Not that I wanted to have long nails in the first place, but slightly rational fear of no. So, I've never been in. So I'm just like, the reason why I asked that is because our parents actually going to allow their children to dress up as a character from a show that they won't even let them, at least hopefully, they won't even let them watch the show in the first place?
He's gotten the memes. That's what's really pushing the whole Eddie character, the heavy metal 80s thing. There was a meme about one guy protesting us dressing up as that means like it's not a costume, it's a lifestyle. Kind of a whole joke about it.
I just rolled my eyes so hard it was audible across the street.
Yeah,
I saw your mic light up. I didn't hear anything, so I assume that was the noise of your eyes rolling.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
But there's a lot of other cosplay. There's some great pieces that were wonderful. Lots of anime, big anime.
Yeah, there was a lot more anime at ECC this year than I can remember at any other one. Yeah. It felt more like an anime con cosplay than like nerddom.
Yeah, a lot of Mummy. Mummy came back only because Brendan Fraser being there. I saw a lot of good Mummy cosplay. And I saw some other pieces. Now there's a couple that I like watching the really odd fandom. Like for me, I love Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss and what Vizpop has created. And there's fandom out there at these the Comic-Cons for cosplaying for those characters, which I always love seeing. So that was kind of cool catching those when they walked by my table.
Very cool, very cool.
One of the drawbacks of ECC is that it's on multiple levels. Most of the cosplayers stay on level 4 where all the booths are. Artist Alley is up on the 6th floor.
Oh, so
if you have a difficult costume to maneuver in, like the multi-part costumes, or you have like a huge ball gown and you're doing Beauty and the Beast and your ball gown is just too big to go up the escalator, we don't get to see those, and that's really disappointing. We get to partake in at Rose City because it's a 1-floor con. So we get to see the droids roll by. We get to see these ridiculously huge, awesome costumes that obviously took a really long time to put together. And you just don't get that at ECC unless you go to the floor that everybody's kind of hanging out on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like conventions, if you have a convention center or you have a this or a that or whatever, it needs to, it can be as spread out as it wants to be, but it needs to be, I don't know how old you are, Matt. But
accessibility is very important.
I'm 39.
Oh, okay, good. Then you should be old enough to get this reference. Basically, instead of building Wayside School all the way into the sky with 30 floors up, like it wasn't supposed to be, it should be 30 classrooms all on one floor. Same thing with conventions. It can be as spread out as it wants to be. It can be as big as a convention. It could be, Samsung City or Apple Park or whatever, as long as it's on one floor. Or you have really cool transitions like Apple does in their videos. Anyway. All right, where do we want to go next, guys?
Well, you want to start pushing to the wrap-up. The one thing you wanted to touch base is the horrible website that most Comic-Cons, I'm not just saying ECC, but most Comic-Cons suffer from late updates. I know they tried to do a lot of media push on Facebook. Honestly, the true solution is getting a figurehead, getting a person to be the representative of that con, to be seen, hey, here's a daily update of what we're doing, and making sure these little things are kept up on, and there's good community.
Houston, we have a problem.
Canceled. What happened? I didn't know.
Yeah. So the Emerald City Comic Con website, you go to it, emeraldcitycomiccon.com, all one word, and it brings you into the main page, and it shows you some, I don't know what the name of the halls are over there, but I'm just going to say a Hall H type looking venue. And it says ECCC 2023 tickets on sale now. There is nothing on this main page of the website showing you where to go to see anything based on the current year's event that just happened August 18th to the 21st of 2022. And what I told Chris off air before we started this was this buy tickets thing should be one thing, one scroll down, and the recap for the current convention that just ended should be the first thing you see.
Yes.
Now, in comparison, and I know, how long has ECCC been around? More than 20 years?
Yeah.
Then they should know better. Okay, and I know technically they're not a part of Comic-Con International like San Diego, okay, but you go to Comic-Con's website, and there is all contact, forums, career, there's all I can click on San Diego Comic-Con's badge, and I can look at various things from the current year convention that happened this year. Why doesn't Emerald City do that? Why don't they on their main page? Come on. Everything is about March 2 to the 5th of next year.
It's not. They're in massive. They need to. You're right. The links need to be changed because all the guest lists on there right now is all this year. It was all 2022. Yeah. But yet they're indicating up top that it's the 23 buy tickets. And they need to distinguish. There's no guest list yet. They haven't started on 2023 yet. It's still one slate.
And it's not even did the website, was it different than what I'm currently seeing before the convention?
It's garbage. It's
still garbage. It's still clickable. And this is not the ECC's problem. This is, go right back to it, ReedPop. ReedPop owns ECCC.
Okay.
For now. They also own New York Comic-Con.
C2E2.
The worst of Comic-Cons we found this year was C2E2 in Chicago.
That was a money grab.
By the way, MCM Comic-Con, they own that one, which that's the one that's in the controversy right now, right, Matt?
Yeah, I just got a post from one of my friends that said CBCS lost all the comic books that they took from that con. They have been misplaced.
Great.
All the signed comics that are supposed to be getting graded, people's, retirement funds or wannabe retirement funds are missing.
Well, that's not good.
But it's okay. They're looking into it.
Of course they are. A massive investigation, Mar-a-Lago style.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. Don't want to go that route. Don't bite into the orange, folks. Just
no.
Anyway,
well, so ReedPop also runs all the PAC events: PAC Australia, PAC East, PAC Unplugged, PAC West. So they have a big, and they also do Rose City, right?
Yes.
So they have a big chunk of the Comic-Cons up here in the Northwest, except for SummerCon, which is in Washington State and Tacoma, which, by the way, second-year con was phenomenal.
It's not a second-year con. That was our second year there. I heard that they had other ones precursor, that it was probably kind of like how Rose was, where it was in a DoubleTree Inn, and, we just didn't hear about it until 2 years ago.
It was the second one at the fairgrounds.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but very good. It's an upcoming con, very good. But this does come back to ReedPop. ReedPop is the company that should be organizing these events in much greater detail. I think one of the biggest failures is the fact they don't have a figurehead to help lead, someone charismatic to lead the interest in these cons. And it's just such a small little task to do, to put someone in that role to help lead. This is what we're doing for this con. This is what, I'm representing. I'm doing this con here. Come to here, see these people. This is who we're trying to get. This is who we got. Unfortunately, this person we don't have anymore. But, right. We're going to pull, we lost David Tennant, but we're going to pull the other doctor in.
We get more information off of their Facebook page than their own website that they make.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Which is ridiculous.
Oh, jeez.
So webmasters fail, or we're hitting almost all the Comic-Cons with that. Fail on that part. Really, you have the avenue. Facebook is just a tool. Don't make it your key information guide.
Yeah.
It's a tool. That's all it needs to be used for. Keep the main guide. They need to have live updates. Have someone come on there. Do weekly shows if you want. 10-minute shows.
Go live.
YouTube. Yeah. They need more of that to help keep the interest going. This is a big thing. I know at this pre-COVID scenario, there's still a lot of changes, a lot of feelings on what, should they actually have news articles saying, why should we have Comic-Cons anymore? They're just blah, blah, blah. Guys, COVID's nothing to us. COVID is a joke because we've been dealing with con funk for so long. We know how to get around it.
Yeah. You bring a bucket of hand sanitizer and just bathe in it.
That should be the next thing at the Emerald City Comic Con 2023. Just have a dunk
booth?
Yeah, a dunk booth.
Just filled with hand sanitizer instead of water?
Yep. Or any kind of soap. It doesn't matter as long as it, is 99%, whatever, it's like 99% kills antibacterial and germs, like, whatever it says on those things. So I have never really been a con goer. Number one, the reason why is because I don't do well in crowded places. Before 2019 and even now, my whole life, I need space. I can't deal with I just can't deal with crowds. And then obviously, with me being disabled and having cerebral palsy and brain damage and all that, I rely on supplemental security income to, whatever. But so I've never actually had the money to go to a con. A few times my mom was like, oh, we should go, or this, or we never. The last convention I remember actively okay, technically not the last. I was BotCon 2016 adjacent because I went to the Stan Bush and Vince DiCola show at BotCon 2016, but that wasn't anywhere near the convention center. It was down at 4th Street Live in Louisville. So technically it wasn't anywhere near, because 4th Street Live is the entertainment district for Louisville, for music and for this and for that and for everything else. So, but before that, I think the last convention I had been at was the Boston Budweiser Expo in 1986 when I got a picture with David Hasselhoff when I was 6 years old.
Ooh, girl.
You mean boy. But yeah. But seriously, it's just one of those things where I sat here, was it 2011 or 2012? No, it was probably San Diego 2012. I sat here on Skype with Radio Free Cybertron, a Transformers podcast that's been around before podcasting in 1999. And we were going to do a 6-hour live stream, audio live stream of just reacting to everything that was announced in 2012 at San Diego Comic-Con. I was the only person out of, I think, the 4 or 5 of us that sat there for all 6 hours, because I can sit here for hours on end talking to people through my microphone, on a podcast, over my computer, versus doing anything with anybody in person.
Well, I mean, you have lasted an hour so far and haven't hung up on me and Chris, so my hat's off to you.
Well, you and I haven't had a private discussion on Funko yet, so that's that's me on the positive side, you on the negative side. Discuss that on a different show on a different day. So for me, it's the I feel like I'm Casey Jones. He's claustrophobic. I'm what? What'd you say? Claustrophobic. So it's that, and it's cost for me. So speaking of cost,
you might have actually enjoyed this one. I don't know. I know you're a Transformers guy. Yep. Do you follow the comic books?
Yeah. I've covered them all.
There was several comic book artists there that did Transformers that you probably would have been.
Yeah, I mentioned Livio Remendelli earlier. Yeah. No, we have over on the Pull Bag, which has been, oh God, that show's almost 10 years old. It'll be 10 years old next March. We have covered of the Phase 2 books of IDW, which basically starts with the death of Optimus Prime, goes into More Than Meets the Eye and Robots in Disguise, which then turned into Lost Light and Optimus Prime. We have covered all of Phase 2. So in the last 10 years, we have covered, I want to say, a good 40 to 50% of IDW's Transformers stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, these prices, man. I guess it's not bad. So the 4-day ticket is $130. That's not bad for if you're just one person, but if you're a whole family, or if you're at least, husband and wife or best friends or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously each person is going to pay for their own price of their own ticket, but let's just say, for example, let's say this is a convention where it's a family thing, and, you could take the kids to go see SpongeBob or something. Family of 4 at $130 each. That's, for 4 days, it's not bad, but for 4 people is a little crazy. The day tickets aren't so bad. Thursday is $30, Friday is $50, Saturday is $60, and Sunday is $50. So that's not that bad. For me, if they're let's just say in some weird world, and I'm not saying who, no one knows because they haven't announced who's going to be at 2023 yet. But let's just say, and I know this will never happen, but let's just say all 4 turtles are going to be there on the Saturday, and somebody else I may want to see less is going to be there on a Sunday. I'll buy the Saturday ticket, and that's fine for me. But for other people like you guys or like anyone else that may want to go to more than just one day, I think a 4-day ticket at $130 for one person isn't bad.
No, and before me helping out artists and stuff like that, I paid those prices.
Yeah. I
mean, it's no different for people in California to go to like Disneyland and stuff and just walk around. Like if you don't do the rides and stuff, I mean, it's entertaining, especially if you do all the things like the after parties and all that stuff. Your ticket gets you into all those events.
Mm-hmm. And even though it's, again, if it's, because we're all geeks and whatever else, but if we wanted I wish there was a 4-day celebrity VIP ticket, but that is what it is, because that would be a whole hell of a lot of money. But the celebrity VIP ticket is the most expensive at $315.
It's a fast pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
For like people like yourself that don't do crowds and don't like people claustrophobia, you're going to pay for it, but you can avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying not to, again, everybody, whether they're putting on the con or whether they're attending the con, for us that go to the things, that buy the tickets, pay the money,
And some of those,
experience.
Like C2E2 just had a really bad experience. I'm sure you've seen the headlines with the quadruple staples, but those guys were using their VIP fast passes to get to the front of those lines to buy 100 issues of that of that book.
Oh,
so
they're ridiculous.
They are paying for their VIP by being able to cut in front of everybody that's waiting in line to get those exclusives, turn around and sell those on eBay to pay for their VIP ticket.
That's disgusting.
Yep.
One of my really good friends has paid for their con tickets by winning the raffle ticket for the Funko Pop booth when it was at ECCC, and they would go to that Funko Pop booth, buy a couple of limited edition Funko Pops for box price, and turn around and sell them on eBay, and that covered their ticket, and then they were able to enjoy the rest of the con, and all they had to do was wait in line for maybe an hour to get 2 Funkos.
I mean, that kind of thing happens all the time. It isn't that's been going on longer than Funko has been doing Pops.
Oh, for sure. Exclusives in general.
But I mean, there's a huge so my buddy Michael Wilson, Pecan Court Michael on Twitter, Pecan CT Michael, all one word. He used to, when he would go to BotCon and he would go with his wife and his children, or when he would just go with his wife before they had kids, he obviously would get the Primus package and she would get the Primus package, which means they could essentially pay for their trip by selling one of the full-on
packages,
all the exclusives, whatever. Yeah. but he did that after he got home from, like, say, he lives in Illinois he's in Northwest Indiana. Anyway, let's just say, he's in Northwest Indiana. Let's just say BotCon's in LA or Vegas, or I don't think it's ever been in Vegas, but let's just say it's somewhere that he has to fly somewhere, or they have to fly somewhere. One of those BotCon full exclusive packages can net you, like, people are talking about the HasLab Unicron now, where it was $600 to fund the thing to get it for just one person, whereas now the aftermarket on that thing, $1,500, $2,000 plus.
Yep.
For just one. I mean, obviously that's one giant toy, but my point in saying this is he would wait to recoup his costs after he got home. Like, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be like you're saying with, buying up all of these things. It's like somebody running into Target, getting several different ones of the same Target exclusive Funko Pop, and going home and selling them online immediately. Like, no, don't do that. Anyway, scalping is bad, folks.
Well, you're talking about, dealing with crowds. Touch base here a little bit. We know one of the biggest cons in the United States is San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Back in 2015 was one of the peak years, near 170,000 people. This past year, or this in 2020, it was just over 135,000 for attendance. Now, Emerald City comes up there near as the second. So in 2019, there were about 98,000 when I researched it. They were near 100,000 break. Of course, in 20 they were canceled, and they came back in 21 with a limited release, which was like 48,000 tickets. So it was ballpark 50,000 people there. This year, they're expected the attendance was only around 70,000. It's still a big shy away from the pre-pandemic levels. But for some reason, it just seems so much busier last year than it did this year. Either it was spread out more, or they stayed on other floors that we didn't see them on the 6th floor.
Yeah.
But and then again, that's just, ticket sales an estimate. There is no actual number saying this number of people walked into the con.
Yeah.
You don't scan tickets or anything like that.
Now, do you think Emerald City has always been spread out over 6 floors?
Well, no, every year it grew. It was on the main building, the Washington State Con, and then was it Washington Con building, the TCC building, which is the another con building next to it, and then it was 2015. The Sheridan Hotel started picking up like the Magic tournaments on the lower levels. Okay. And by 2018, they were in those 3 buildings, and there was the another hotel outside that did a lot of the registration input. So you went to one building to get your tickets or pre-check, and then you went to the con. Okay.
Because I'm thinking, like I've already said, having it on 6 floors might have...
it would be hell for you, because it's also you can't just get on one elevator on the 1st floor and go to whatever floor you want. You have to go in this elevator, go up to the 3rd floor. Then you have to go over to the other side of that building to get in the next elevator to go up 2 floors.
It's a mess.
And then it's
And that's my point in saying this, is maybe they need to think of changing up. And you said something about changing the venue, Chris.
They are. So they're
building a new one.
It's a new one. It's going to be done by March. It's it's 2 buildings. It's really nice because the road goes underneath it. The second building is actually a parking garage built in the convention, which this one really doesn't have, which is really nice. They're expanding the parking for it. And they actually have truck center ramps to go up to the 2nd and 3rd level to the main show floors, where they can bring in heavy equipment and easily unload it into the floor. So there's a lot of potential in this, I think it's 6 stories, building. The 1st floor is really just retail shops. That's mainly what it's designed for. So there's a lot of permanent restaurants. That was the other thing this year. The subway, there was a subway on the outside of ECC and one on the inside. This year they were closed. which was really weird. That's usually a big money maker, but both of them were closed.
That's ridiculous.
Yep. So new building, we'll see how the new layout goes. We're definitely interested in going back to check it out. But right now, like our focus here in a couple of weeks is going to be Rose City Comic Con, and then that will where Matt and I will end our Comic Con run for the year. Our artists will continue. They're going to be hitting Las Vegas Summer Con, which
Amazing Las Vegas, I believe, is what it's called.
Yep.
And then he's going to try to do New York. Last year in New York, I don't know if you saw any of the videos or any of the stories. It was a ghost town. A lot of people didn't show up. A lot of artists didn't show up. So even though all their artist alleys are completely sold out, he's going to show up and hopefully be able to snag a table because people randomly don't show up for cons even though they've paid for tables.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I said this last year, I'll say it this year. I mean, we're still in the age of COVID. It hasn't gone away completely. And it's just one of those things where, I don't know, I just, even with my claustrophobia and my other, you know, physical disabilities, I just don't know if I would want to be going to a convention. It doesn't, like, it could be, you know, a hole in the wall on the beach. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like, I just don't think I would want to do that. Like, just me personally, and, you know, this is, you know, whatever, but I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that people are enjoying it. I'm glad that, you know, you guys are going and you guys are helping out with the people that you're helping out with and everything else. On a scale of 0 to 5, what would you rate this year's ECCC?
Ooh. 2?
Yeah, I'd have to say the coordination from the staff on our booth positions on how things were at and just the overall enthusiasm. 2.5, going to 3, but definitely not one of our better cons.
This is probably one of the worst ECCs that I've ever been a part of.
Oh, damn. That sucks.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It really seemed like the guest list was invited by someone of like the early 90s of a certain gender and single.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Well.
Yeah.
Before I let you guys go, before we close this out, tell us all about Rose City that's coming up. When is it and where is it and all that stuff.
Rose City will be coming up September 9th through the 11th in the Oregon Convention Center in downtown Portland. You're going to be seeing a lot of good people coming through this year for Rose City. Anthony Rapp from Discovery. Billy D. Williams is showing.
And
we're all
Frodo.
excited about that. Frodo, yeah, Elijah Wood is showing up. The, trying to think of the top of my head, LeVar Burton. Which, this is one of the things in the last couple of years, we have not seen a lot of Star Trek folks show up these cons. Like Will Wheaton and all that used to be big names for all the Comic-Cons. That has scaled back a little bit. So this is nice seeing LeVar Burton actually make the attempt to come back out here and mix in with the people. Rainn Wilson from The Office is pretty popular. Sean Astin, Frodo's little best friend. I kind of wish, I'm asking if it ever got to him, that Jamie Farr and Loretta Swift from MASH, they've been hitting all the East Coast Comic-Cons. Come out to the West Coast, please, because MASH is my favorite show, and I'd love to see you at one of these.
As far as comic book guests go, the biggest name that I am excited for is Bendis. Brian Michael Bendis will be there. He is actually doing a panel. I am not a writer at all. I am dyslexic. I hate writing. I hate English in general. It's been one of the most fascinating panels that I could care less about, but was super involved in. Like I listened to every word that he spoke. So if you do go to Rose City, I highly, highly, highly recommend going to Bendis's panel on whatever topic he wants to fucking talk about.
Very cool, very cool. All right, anything else either one of you want to say before I run through the closing?
Nope, that's it. We're hoping if you can, support the Comic-Con, support your local comic artist. It's very important that you help them create the work that we can enjoy many, many years from now.
Don't buy Funko.
Oh.
And canceled.
I don't know about buying Funko stock, but yeah, I don't know. You said your piece. We will talk later. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here on Geekcast Radio. Coming up next, I believe later on in September, my buddy Terry Smith from Music Talks Podcast is going to drop back by, and we are going to be talking about Blackstone Cherries live from the Royal Albert Hall, y'all, concert that they put on. So they released that on DVD, digital, all that stuff. So concert DVD. So we're going to talk about that next time here on Geekcast Radio. After that, I have no clue what the heck's going on with this show. It's usually reserved for our big stuff, like I said in episode 300 last time. Matt, where can people find you online if they so choose to do so, sir?
Oh, to send me the hate mail from Funko?
No.
Just Facebook. I don't really have much of an online presence currently, so I pretty much just do Facebook.
Okay, what about you, Chris?
Of course, you'll always find me at IndeedPodcast.com. You'll see our show from there, past shows that we've done, or email at IndeedPodcast@gmail.com.
All right, I'm, of course, at TFG1Mike on Twitter. You can follow at Geekcast Radio on Twitter for all the other network updates. I am on Facebook. My link tree is most likely going to be in the episode post because I just signed up for. I'm like, ooh, I can have all my links in one place. I don't have to worry about any. I don't have to make sure this link's there. Make sure that. Anyway, so unleash the geek in you, and we will catch you next time here on Geekcast Radio.
Yay!